Play it again.
I want it.
The Allies are calling it Chronosphere technology. My sources tell me it is done with extremely high energy signals.
I want it.
Comrade, how?
I am surrounded by idiots. Do whatever it takes. Steal it. Take it from them. Nadia, tell your spies I want detailed plans. If Grodenko had not allowed Einstein to slip through our fingers, that weapon would be ours now.
Comrade, we do have a lead. An Allied base outside SETI is sending out very strong energy signals. I believe this is where the Chronosphere hides. There are 3 separate control centers we've identified there.
Take control of all 3. Do not allow them to destroy that which is rightfully ours. General?
Welcome back, Commander. Just who is that bald guy? Why is everybody so scared of talking when he's around? Also, why does Stalin say that the Chronosphere is quote-unquote rightfully ours? It's not. That's why we're trying to steal it. I really like this level. It clearly does not fuck around. It just straight into action. Very cinematic, very pleasing. So this mission's a little tricky. First off, it's kind of hard to establish your base just because of, well, the area is not really very suited for it. Like, there's not a lot of open ground and so on. Secondly, there's, I guess you could say, multiple objectives to this mission. The first is you have to capture a tech center that the Allies have. Technically, you're going to be capturing a lot of those, but the first one is in the bottom left. Interestingly, this is one of the very few times that the Soviets will get, I don't want to say a superpower or anything, but you're capturing a tech center. So if you've played the Allied side, you might know what that might entail. Also, that's one of the very few times that an Apache will ever bug out and not shoot its intended target. It's very rare to see.
Acknowledged. Report affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle report. Acknowledged.
Construction complete.
So unless you've decided to shun the entirety of the Allied campaign,
Yes, sir.
basically capturing the tech center will give us the nice little bonus of a satellite GPS. Or just satellite, I guess.
Awaiting orders.
Either way, it's a very nice tool to have, and again, is one of the very few times that essentially the Soviets will get 100% vision of the map right away.
Yes, sir.
Obviously there's a timer, but it's still much, much faster than having to go with the tried and tested airfield / spy plane method. And thanks to the earlier sacrifice of our glorious Badger bombers, we can see there's at least a few locations where we can find some Allied soldiers.
Our base is under attack.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Sadly, that's one of the very few times where you're kind of extremely validated in building a kennel and getting an attack dog.
Construction.
Just kind of sucks, I guess, that the mammoth tank was there.
Building.
I'm trying to remember what happened here. I'm sure I like went to go grab a drink and didn't remember that I actually moved the harvester to stop. I'm sure I'll just cut this out either way.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
There we go.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Yeah, harvesters can get kind of dumb sometimes. Finally.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Reporting.
Construction complete.
This is me checking the whole distance thing. You know, if you look real closely when you're control firing, you can see how far a unit shoots.
Spy plane ready.
It's really hard to spot, but if you pause the video and like zoom in and shit, you'll note that right at the tip, you get like these 4 dashes,
Affirmative.
one in the northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest portions of that circle.
Awaiting
It's really hard to spot, especially on the green, on this green temperate tile set.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle report. Acknowledged. Awaiting.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
New construction options. Building.
Reporting.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Stolen.
Yes, sir.
Insufficient
Affirmative.
funds.
Acknowledged.
Yeah, the allies are like real big jerks right now.
On hold. Our base is under attack. Construction complete. Structure sold. Unit
Stole my credits, rushed me with tanks, Chinook in the back.
unit lost.
Like, what else do I need to do?
Building. On hold. Cancel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Structure sold.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Awaiting orders. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit
Yes, sir.
lost.
Affirmative.
Spy plane
Vehicle
ready.
acknowledged. Yes, sir. At once.
Select target.
Sadly, I can't sell the walls like a previous mission, so I just opt to park a soldier in a random location.
Have arrived. Unit
I figure if the allies try to send like a Chinook filled with engineers, maybe he'll be able to stop them.
Yes,
construction
vehicle
complete.
reporting. Reporting. Yes, sir.
New construction options. Unit lost.
This is also, I guess, one of the few times where like
Yes, sir.
it's actually really worth it to build a lot of SAM sites, because the allies really like to harass you on this level.
Awaiting orders. Agreed. Awaiting orders,
Construction
sir.
complete. Cannot deploy here.
In a way, it just kind of also makes it awkward, because you end up having a bunch of SAM sites in locations where minerals can actually spread, and like
Ready and waiting.
it kind of mingles in a weird way.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Construction
Yes, sir.
complete.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders.
It might seem weird that the Chinook is just randomly passing that way, but that was actually what deposited the units down south.
Awaiting orders.
It's sort of the trigger to,
Unit ready.
like provide additional defenses.
Acknowledged.
Kind of like if you sent an engineer
Select target.
with, say, a force to go to the tech center, but you did it too quickly, and let's say you didn't really have much in the way of defenses.
Reporting.
Next thing you know, you've got a couple of units that sneak in, destroy the tech center, and you fail the mission. You gotta restart it.
Affirmative.
So,
Insufficient funds.
good thing we didn't lose 8 or so minutes of progression.
Awaiting orders. Report acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Training.
In a way, I kind of wish that there were more gems readily available on maps, just to help speed it up a little bit, but
On hold.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting a little impatient at this point.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Man, I can't believe I actually built a flamethrower unit.
Spy plane ready. Select target.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
So once again, the Allies have gap generators. It looks like they have a base.
Construction options.
There's some naval units, but those could just be from like a ring around an island that's connected to the base.
Acknowledged. Of course.
Or maybe there's just a large bridge.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
It's gonna make it annoying, to say the least, to go there.
Select target. Reinforcements have arrived. Select target. Unit lost.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
At once. Of course.
Yeah, wherever my parabombs came out from, they didn't last very long, it seems.
Building.
Awaiting or acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Our base is under attack.
Acknowledged.
And this is, I don't want to know, I don't think it's a flaw per se, but
Waiting orders.
here we kind of see deficiency in the AI.
Waiting orders.
For whatever reason, they're not
Complete.
too worried about having a squad or so of infantry just blowing up their power plants.
Ready and waiting.
And funnily enough, because the AI has no way to choose to build in different locations, it's just not smart enough. It does mean that, well, if you put a unit over a location where the AI would build, it now can't replace that building. Remember, you're taking up the tile, it can't build around it, and it won't choose to build anywhere else.
Yes. Affirmative.
So it's kind of like a win by default.
Building. On hold.
Yes, sir.
Fencing.
Acknowledged.
Is it a little cheap? Sure.
Sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
I don't really care though.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
And the other thing too is that it's not really foolproof, as we'll see soon enough.
Unit ready.
Vehicle affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
But hey, I get to destroy a couple allied power plants from time to time. It's a money sink for them.
Building.
Really, I'm coming out on top.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Awaiting. Affirmative. Awaiting or await. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Cannot
Vehicle
deploy.
reporting.
Unit ready.
Yes, acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Again, always be careful about what you're using to shoot at a building that must be captured.
Select target.
You end up getting certain scenarios where maybe you kind of fail the mission. because you didn't do it properly.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Insufficient
Acknowledged.
funds. Construction
Reporting. Yes, sir. Agreed. Affirmative.
low power.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Waiting orders.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Waiting orders.
Yeah, so I aimed a little too high, killed one too many units, and
Reporting.
next thing you know, they just happen to take out my infantry one by one. This is unfortunate. And again, it's not a foolproof method because the Allies still have their means of, getting resources. So
Building. Select.
if you kill that and the power plants, you're guaranteed to win. Otherwise,
Lost.
kind of waiting on stuff.
Construction complete.
Await. Ready and wait.
And again, the dreaded,
Very well.
very dreaded mines show up again.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Of course.
Kind of prolongs, the how long it takes for you to get anywhere on this mission.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Waiting order.
Especially since I'm one of those wusses who's like, I don't want to lose mammoth tanks. I paid a lot of money for them.
Affirmative.
If only there was a way for them to heal up to full HP.
Cannot deploy here. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Waiting
lost.
order. Yes, sir.
Oh, and the fact that the Allies have a bunch of cruisers in the water, it just
Waiting order.
ends up being even more annoying.
Building. Unit lost.
Ready and wait. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
On the plus side, though, I've blocked all their power again.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Report affirmative. Reporting. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Comrade, acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building. Cancel.
I don't know why I was thinking about going with a MiG. We've already seen a bunch of destroyers, there's an AA gun nearby.
Affirmative. Acknowledged once.
Even if they weren't out of power, right now I don't trust anything on this map.
Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Spy plane ready. Select target.
Comrade.
That's kind of a reason why I don't trust anything on this map, because they've clearly got a second base and it's powered, so
Ready and
how much do I trust the whole this part isn't? Other than the gap generator, of course.
affirmative. Agreed. Yes, sir. At once.
But it is that permanence.
Very well.
Construction complete.
It's just,
At once. Affirmative.
it is not setting my mind at ease. And this was another dumb move, because I
Cannot deploy here. Cannot deploy here.
I could have had that, guarantee deployment zone
Building.
of just, perfect paratrooper placement
Construction complete.
and prevent them from ever getting power.
Building.
Which, in the end, just harms anything that secondary base tries to do.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
Because, again, if they don't have power, you can't build anything quickly, you can't really react to anything, your defenses for the most part are down, so on and so forth.
Waiting order. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Thankfully, though, the light tank just says, screw it, I'm gonna ignore those last two guys.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Reporting.
Unit lost. Our base.
Oh, hey, there's a lot of... Why is my
Complete.
parabomb in the top right corner?
Spy plane. Construction options. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting order.
Hey, see, I was gonna send my mammoth tanks in, and then, realized, oh, right, the cruiser, it's gonna do a shit ton of damage.
Yes,
I
sir.
have to neutralize that first.
Very well.
Unit lost.
Waiting order. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Course. Reporting.
Building. Building.
Oh yeah, did I mention that a cruiser is shooting at my sub base? Or sub pen?
Comrade? Comrade? Awaiting orders. Yes, sir.
Construction
Reporting.
complete.
Affirmative. Very well.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Construction options. Building.
Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
See, now it's a race to try and build as many sub pens as I can, so I don't have to worry about cruisers destroying the sub pens.
Acknowledged.
Construction complete.
Doesn't help that I just saw like 3 destroyers.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Comrade?
Insufficient funds.
You might think that maybe the cruisers are getting, just they're target firing, so that's why they're hitting the subs. It's literally just because the cruisers are missing.
Acknowledged.
Construction
Acknowledged.
complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Comrade?
Unit ready. Building. Select target. Naval unit lost.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Primary
Yes,
building
sir.
selected.
Acknowledged. Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Now, imagine if you built a sub pen a long time ago, and you didn't have like an economy, so you couldn't fund getting a lot of subs,
Affirmative.
and then a bunch of cruisers just roll in and smash your base from the shoreline. That would suck.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Our base is under attack.
Yes, affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Primary building selected.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Cannot deployable.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Training.
Yes, affirmative. Waiting. Affirmative.
Primary building selected.
Reporting. Affirmative. Waiting order. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Alright, so slowly but surely making our way towards the southeast part of the map. Taking out this base, which is like step 1. Step 2 is clearing the waters, so that we can get to step 3, which is landing on the northern base. Because, of course, there was a bridge, but the bridge was blown up.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Select target. Reinforcements have arrived.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Yes, affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Waiting order. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Yes, affirmative.
Insufficient
Yes,
funds.
acknowledged. Yes, sir.
And of course, since we don't have a mobile MCV, or a mobile construction vehicle, we need to capture a building so we can just shorten the deployment times.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
There's something funny to me, in the same way that like Civilization games have, pikemen taking out aircraft carriers. Just, your guy with a javelin missile taking out a submarine.
Unit lost.
Vehicle report. Ready and waiting.
Spy plane ready. Select target.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
It sucks that the spy effectively has no use against an allied player. Sure, you could check stuff, like has already been mentioned in the thread, about, you know, you put a spy in a construction yard so you know what they're building. The same applies to a barracks and war factory.
Ready and waiting.
But there's no cool, like, sonar pulse and, you know, that's really all you'd ever really be able to use it for. There's a refinery, I guess, but ultimately it's not really worth it, which sucks.
Ready and waiting, sir. Vehicle reporting. Vehicle reporting.
Unit
Yes,
lost.
affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Wait, acknowledged.
Reconstruction options.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Now, you might be thinking, you've got spies, and that's because we have an allied tech center, which has also given us a satellite GPS.
Affirmative.
So I wonder if we could do something stupid.
Wait, acknowledged.
Like,
Reconstruction.
I don't know.
Spy plane. Ready.
What if we could get
Reconstruction.
cruisers?
Awaiting.
Yeah.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, acknowledged.
Truly, the Soviets are too powerful now. The best tanks and the best ships in the game?
Under attack.
Await affirmative.
Oh, right. Cruisers are
Acknowledged.
terrible for accuracy.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. 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 Comrade. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting.
Always be wary of the double-edged sword that is cruisers.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Report acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This applies in a lot of different ways. I mean, sure, you can take a cruiser and effectively, like,
Yes, sir. Awaiting.
at this point, you've basically won, especially if you can build cruisers.
Ready. Building.
You could easily take a million years and just go through step by step and
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
effectively lay waste to everything here.
Acknowledged. Reporting. Acknowledged. Reporting.
Like, there's no incentive to ever move onto the island, obviously, other than, like, completing the last objective of the mission. But, you know, it's kind of a freebie.
Unit lost.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Affirmative.
Ah, those poor dopes.
Construction.
Shelled by their own units.
Unit lost.
I don't know why that power plant is almost dead.
Primary building selected.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting orders.
Mission saved.
Yes, sir.
You might be thinking it's kind of weird to, you know, save the game, especially with a title such as, like, I Hate Risks.
Ready. Training.
Yes, sir.
Remember how I said that accuracy sucks shit for cruisers?
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Comrade.
I mean, you know, just to, maybe that's a primer for something in the future. Who knows?
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Accuracy really is poor for cruisers.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Comrade. Acknowledged.
Building. Primary building selected.
Vehicle reporting.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle report. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
You might remember that the objective entailed capturing tech centers. And, yeah, they're not joking. We can see 3 on the map right now.
Acknowledged.
You have to capture all 3.
Affirmative. Waiting order.
Not capturing them leads to failure.
Reporting.
If you decide, well, hell, why go through the process of capturing the tech centers? I'll just capture the Chronosphere. Because that makes a lot of friggin' sense, right? Go for the mission critical thing that's story related, instead of whatever else the mission is trying to pull on you, well, you'd be rewarded with a game failure.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative.
Like when they state, you have to capture the tech centers, they're really serious about it.
Yes. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Transport, let them in. Alright. Starting to get really worried there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting.
Oh, and in case you're curious, like, oh, well, what if I capture a tech center and destroy a second one? Or, the third one? That's also a failure.
Yes, affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Select target. Silos removed.
And because accuracy is so terrible, yeah, you usually go through the process at least once, no matter how hard you try with cruisers around.
Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
1 minute, you're simply, laying waste to a camel pillbox or a helipad, and next thing you know, a cruiser just randomly retargets, hits an AA gun, but also overshoots and kills a Chronosphere at the process.
Yes, sir.
Or a tech center.
Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting force. Yes, sir. Reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Construction.
Reporting. Yes, affirmative.
And, the other thing that makes it even worse is that cruisers have long range, as has been discussed many, many times.
Unit ready. Building. Insufficient.
It's really hard to find a location in all this water where they won't just seemingly at random retarget and, destroy a tech center without you wanting it to. So when you're force firing on the ground, it kind of becomes like a
Select target.
really good habit to do with a cruiser in hand.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Waiting order. Acknowledged.
So since we can't trust cruisers to reliably do damage, we're gonna have to find another way.
Affirmative. Yes, affirmative.
Thankfully, because I have entire control of the map right now, we can go a couple options. Either we go with MiGs, which isn't really a bad idea considering there's no power to any of these buildings, or we can go mammoth tanks.
Affirmative.
Building.
On the plus side, if I go with MiGs,
Construction.
it's virtually impossible to, stop me from doing anything.
Affirmative.
You still need a transport, and you still need engineers, though, so that's a little annoying.
Building.
And at the same time, there's camo pillboxes. And, you can scour the map a lot, but there's 6 on the map, and they're kind of hard to spot, so
Mission.
you don't want to lose an engineer out of the blue. Probably a better idea just to go with the tanks. Just easier that way. Doubly so if you can just pump some Tesla coils into the enemy base.
Waiting for affirmative. Acknowledged.
Especially considering Tesla coils don't target buildings, so you... son of a... Alright, let's try this again. Good thing I saved, huh? Oh yeah, that's another thing that sucks about pair bombs, is that, if they somehow, if for whatever reason the plane doesn't drop all of its bombs, it turns around and then finishes its salvo. What makes it even worse is that well, we've already seen the whole overshooting, undershooting issue. That's even worse when you have to take into account that it turns itself around.
Yes, sir. Of course. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Waiting orders. Waiting orders. Affirmative. Yes. Waiting for knowledge. Affirmative. Knowledge.
It's been a while, so I don't quite recall, but I think if you capture a tech center without capturing the other two, like right away, I believe a timer starts. But I guess maybe we might see it if I'm not quick enough.
Yes, affirmative. Knowledge. 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 Waiting for knowledge. Waiting for knowledge.
Oh, and this is just for shits and giggles.
Knowledge. Yes, knowledge.
I was thinking maybe I could just like capture the Chronosphere, and there's one time it didn't work.
Safe.
Oh, there we go.
Mission accomplished.